If God really loved us with all of his heart and soul, why, if we did a couple bad things, such as have sex or eat meat on a Friday or whatever it is, why would he throw us in a fucking eternal pit of hell for all of eternity? It just doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? My name's Nick.
Nick, rock on. My full name is Lamberto, but most people just call me Lambo for short.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Chicago, but I've lived in Vegas on and off for like 13, 14 years now.
Oh shit,
Lived
all
in
right.
Cali for I was in the Navy, so I traveled a lot.
Dude, thank you for your service.
You're very
man.
welcome.
Appreciate that. That's pretty cool, dude. What'd you do in the Navy, if you don't mind me asking?
Not at all. I was what's known as an aviation machinist mate, fancy word for jet engine mechanic.
That's fucking tight.
But it was pretty dope.
Did you go anywhere cool?
I went to a place called Jabal Ali, which is what's in
Is that the Emirates?
yeah, in Emirates, exactly.
My aunt and uncle were saying that like when they went out to visit, and they said that like there, like you have to show your marriage license in order to like to stay in a hotel with your wife, like because if you're just boyfriend girlfriend, you have to stay separate. Like you can't even.
It's very
wild.
it's serious. Like people that have never been there, like see this stuff on TV and in movies, think it's some of it like made up to an extent, but like the religious laws and the way it is, like it's serious. Like before I would leave the ship, the whole ship would get a briefing. Like they're like, don't do this, don't do that, you know. And then it sucks, but they had to tell the women, listen, you know, you can't be walking around in mini skirts, you can't be looking super sexy or nothing. This is a different country with different views. We're American, but we gotta respect that.
What do you think about religion?
I think religion is a beautiful thing, and I think that, you know, most people need it in some form, shape, or other. You know, but this whole hatred about your religion is right and my religion is wrong, or mine is right and yours is wrong, and vice versa, I never really been down with that, you know?
Yeah. There's a really interesting guy called Robert Anton Wilson. He's got this cool video on YouTube called "Who is the Master Who Paints the Grass Green?" And the whole idea of the video is that life is, or the way you see the world is perception, and everyone's perception is different. But what you believe is true to you, but it just because that person might not believe it's not true to them, it's not real to them. And he talks about a Zen Buddhist master saying is, who is the master who paints the grass green? Who decided what green was? He said you could take two people, lock them in two separate rooms for two different sets of times. Ask the first person how, or for the same amount of time, you go and ask the first person how long they were in that room for, and they'll tell you 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You go to the next guy and he was like, I don't know, a half hour, you know? Everyone's perception is different. I think it's the same way with religion. What you believe is true to you, you know, your God is your God. So if that's true to you, let it be. Why do you got to hate on other people for the way they see God or the way they see the world? You know what I mean? Just because you see two different views, you know, you're still together. Let them do their thing, you do your thing, and everyone's cool. Some people use religion as a way to, they need that for that guidance in their life. They need something to live for. They can't handle just being. And I would say, like, if aliens were ever discovered, if they were announced, the world would flip, because that means, like, especially like diehard, like Catholics, all the three major religions, that would mean that they're everything. It means nothing. You know what I mean? Because there would be the introduction of aliens. Okay, if your parents love you, right? They love you with all their heart and soul, right? If you ever went to jail, and let's just say you've never been in trouble, you went to jail one time, would your dad or mother leave you there? You don't think they'd try to fight for you to get out?
They'd fight.
You know, they'd fight to get out. They wouldn't leave you locked away forever. So if God really loved us with all of his heart and soul to give us his only son, why, if we did a couple bad things, such as have sex or eat meat on a Friday or whatever it is, why would he throw us in a fucking eternal pit of hell for all of eternity? It just doesn't make sense, you know what I mean?
And see, that makes good like sense to me, because like it explains certain things to me in life. Like people have, you know, like hidden talents, things like that. You know, you go try an activity you've never done in your entire life. You know you've never messed with it. You go do it and you're natural. You're just like, whatever it is, you just do it. I believe that's like a trace of a past life, a remnant, you know? Like I believe, you know, it's like a soul, an energy, your chi, whatever you want to call it, is like eternal. and it keeps going. And that's why we have remnants, you know. Sometimes you meet someone and then you talk to them, you're like, man, I've met this person before.
Yeah.
But you have it, you know, they're from like another country or something, but you get that vibe that you've met this person before. And that's because in another realm, another universe, whatever you want to believe, you and that person's energy, that soul, have crossed paths before.
What I also thought was an interesting concept is, have you ever heard of the rapper idea? He did this interview once, and this guy was asking him about the afterlife or whatever, and he said something that was pretty interesting to me. He said, he said, that's the ego in you thinking that you're going to make it past life. He goes, the whole point of life is to let go of your ego. You know, you want to let go of that. That's pretty conceited to think that you're special enough to live, to like go on forever. And I was just thinking, I was like, holy shit, that's like a wild idea to think. I have no idea what the meaning of life is. I think life is all about going through and experiencing it and contributing some way to a cosmic consciousness. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, idea that there is, because like they've said that like when earthquakes have happened on this side of the world, people have had terrible feelings on this part of the world. They just knew something was off, or like there's a vibe around the world and people can feel it and tap into that.
Oh, dude, it's the truth. And I feel it's to get like as much experience as possible, like, you know, connect with as many people, like have as many interactions.
Oh, exactly.
And you know, sometimes people are introverted, so they don't really feel that way, and I respect that. But I'm just like, so many different people on Earth, so many different interactions, so many things that could happen. Like, I'm all about meeting people. That's why I love traveling the world and everything.
Why do you think that people get so overzealous in religion? There are extremists on all sides. Why do you think they go as far as beheading people in public and do the things they do? But they claim it's in the name of God. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think it really is a case of the mind being programmed. I mean, psychologically speaking, if you beat something into someone's mind, the mind will manifest and make things basically a reality for that person. So, you know, if you tell someone that their ultimate goal is to do this violent act, they psychologically don't see it as a violent act. It's their ultimate goal. This is what they need to do. This is why they exist. You know, but it's just a religious thing about it. It's not because they want to do it. You know, their God is telling them to do it.
Religion has been used as a mind control. You go back to Constantine, and he in 325 Anno Domini, he had the Council of Nicaea that created the Bible. They basically took all the books from Gnosticism, which at that time was a pre-Christian religion that relied more on interpretation of the books instead of literal, like, if you do this, you're going to hell. Yeah. Then there were more parables. They'd tell a story, and then, well, what do you think that means? Basically, him and a bunch of guys got together and were like, these books fit what we need, and these ones don't. Yeah. So they got rid of them. They created the Bible. And that's how he united his empire. He remained a pagan until 3 days before his death. He praised the soul god Invictus, and then 3 days, and then he was baptized Christian, and then he died. Yeah. Some of the most fucking some of the most fucking corrupt people are religious officials or government officials, or these like people in the public eye, which are like do-gooders. They're really the one, like everything that they tell people not to do, they're fucking doing behind the scenes.
And they use the religion or the image as a shield.
What religion do you find the most interesting? Like, have you read anything from Buddhism, Hinduism?
Very much into like the Eastern philosophies, like Buddhism and stuff like that, Taoism, like the whole energy work. Like I said, I was very much into energy work, so it's all about the chakras, aligning everything.
So you like metaphysical stuff?
Yes.
Have you listened to Terrence McKenna before? Okay, so he talks about taking mushrooms, and he says what he calls a shaman's journey or a hero's journey is taking anywhere between 5.5 to 7 mushrooms, 7 grams at one time, and that's to like trip out like in a shamanistic way. Yeah. He talks about the quickest way to reprogram your mind is by taking a psychedelic trip. And he said, imagine your brain is like a computer, and you have all this information loaded on it, and all this shit that you want to clear away. He goes, the quickest way to reboot yourself is taking mushrooms. He said, you take mushrooms and it'll act as a kind of a wipe. It'll kind of show you that you're about this big in the universe, you know.
Yeah.
And you'll kind of mellow down a little bit. And I kind of believe in that.
No, mushrooms are a beautiful thing, and I feel that everyone should experience it at least once in their life. Like, what you see, you know, in front of your eyes, your mind triggers just like, what is this? And, you know, in your life, in your religion, and how you live it, tell you what you're looking at.
There's a really interesting book by Graham Hancock called Supernatural, and it's all about, it proposes the theory that, well, actually it's not a theory, that he talks about all these different cultures throughout time that have used psychedelics as a way to make themselves closer with God.
Yeah.
Like he talks about, there's a theory out there that the way the caveman first discovered art, or first discovered that there was a higher power, was that as he's picking and foraging, he finds mushrooms, and he eats these mushrooms, and he's having this profound experience that's like changing him. And that's where they think that those first hand paintings on the wall where they blew their handprints, was because these dudes were like tripped out. They said that like there had to have been some sort of extreme change, because they went from just dying to then burying their dead with tools and trinkets to accompany them in the afterlife. They said they wouldn't have done this unless they have had some sort of belief in a higher power.
Exactly, some sort of like religious system or something like that.
Yeah, and so they think it was inspired by mushrooms. All right, man, so we talked about a couple things today. We talked about extremism, we talked about the
Experience of different cultures and like how they live.
meaning of life. We were talking about, basically, it's just all about experience, going out there, making connections with people.
The meaning of life is to like live, to like keep an energy. I'm just calling it like an energy. You are an energy, like you were saying, that keeps the world kind of going and energizes. Like, we keep it in motion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a battery. We keep charging, so we move from body to body, whatever. And it's, you know, different religion, different country, different whatever aspect, but it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, everybody saw the same thing, but everybody calls it different stuff. We saw it from different angles. Some called it Jesus, Buddha, yada, you know, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, you know, they all believe in something. It's like, religion is just like a construct of how people want to live their life.
A good way to put it is, my friend told me that he had he went to Catholic school, and he had a priest tell him once when he was asking about religion. He said, "Son," he goes, "religion is like ice cream. There's tons of different flavors, but it's all the same thing." And he's like, that always stuck with me, and I was like, it's a pretty good feeling.